Good morning, friends. This is Dr. Elizabeth from Department of Commerce, Nirmala College for Women, Coimbatore. In this video, we are going to discuss how to determine the residential status of a person. Payment of a tax is an important duty for everyone. Hence, we are going to see how to determine various types of persons and how to determine the residential status of a person. I would like to start with the basis of charge, which is a small part of income tax. Basis of charge is nothing but determination of residential status of a person according to Income Tax Act. This is the agenda for today's session. First, I'll be briefing you about what is meant by determination of residential status. Then number 2, what are the various types of persons according to Income Tax Act. And then types of SSCs based on residential status, how we can classify SSCs based on residential status, and lastly, what are the various tests to be applied in order to determine the residential status of an individual. The term residential status is coined under Income Tax Act, and it has nothing to do with the nationality or domicile of a person. Now let us see how the residential status of an individual is determined. Or the criterion is the territorial connections of a person with a country. That is, number of days for which he is literally stayed in India. And the residential status differs from person to person, from year to year. Persons can be divided into 7 categories, namely individuals, Hindu undivided family, partnership firm, joint stock companies, association of persons and body of individuals, local authority, and artificial juridical person. Individuals can claim 2 positions. One is resident and the other one is non-resident. When he satisfies either of the 2 conditions for being a resident, he has yet another option to claim either ordinary resident or resident but not ordinarily resident. For being resident, an individual has to satisfy either of the 2 conditions, namely, number 1, he should have stayed in India for a period of 182 days or more during the relevant previous year, or he should have stayed in India for a period of 60 days or more during the relevant previous year and 365 days or more during the period of 4 previous years prior to the relevant previous year. When he does not satisfy either of the 2 conditions, then his position is non-resident. Having satisfied either of the 2 conditions for being resident, he has 2 other options. One is ordinary resident and the other one is resident but not ordinarily resident. For being ordinary resident, he has to satisfy 2 additional conditions. One is he must be resident for at least 2 previous years out of 10 previous years prior to the relevant previous year, and he should have stayed for a period of 730 days or more during the period of 7 previous years prior to the relevant previous year. Then the next advantageous position is resident but not ordinarily resident, for which he has to satisfy either of the 2 conditions. One is he must be non-resident for at least 2 previous years out of 10 previous years prior to the relevant previous year, or he should have stayed in India for a period of less than 730 days during the period of 7 previous years prior to the relevant previous year. So long, we have seen how to determine the residential status of an individual. Now let us see how to determine the residential status of Hindu undivided family. Hindu undivided family is created due to operation of Hindu law, where the head of the family is called as Karta and the other members are called as co-partners. Hindu undivided family can claim two basic positions. One is resident and the other one is non-resident. For being a resident, the control and management of its affairs should have been situated either wholly or partly in India. For which, first of all, we should know what is meant by control and management of its affairs. It's nothing but the controlling power and directing power, or the head and the brain, or the place where vital decisions are taken. When vital decisions are taken in India, we can say that the control and management of its affairs is situated in India. Then the next position is non-resident. For being a non-resident, the control and management of its affairs should have been situated wholly outside India. It is Hindu undivided family in addition to individuals which has the right of claiming advantageous position of resident but not ordinarily resident. Now let us see what are the conditions to be satisfied for being ordinary resident and resident but not ordinarily resident. To claim the position of ordinary resident, the Karta has to satisfy two conditions which are applicable for an individual too. Number one, he should be resident for at least 2 previous years out of 10 previous years prior to the relevant previous year, and Karta should have stayed in India for a period amounting in all to 730 days or more during the period of 7 previous years prior to the relevant previous year. The important point to be noted here is these two conditions must be satisfied only by Karta and not by any other member in Hindu undivided family. Then the next position is resident but not ordinarily resident. To claim the advantageous position of resident but not ordinarily resident, Karta should be non-resident for at least 2 previous years out of 10 previous years prior to the relevant previous year, or Karta should have stayed in India for a period of less than 730 days during the period of 7 previous years prior to the relevant previous year. Next one is determination of residential status of a joint stock company. As I quote you earlier, joint stock companies can claim only two positions, either resident or non-resident. For being resident, the company must be an Indian company. You know, Indian company is a company which is registered in India, and a non-Indian company for which annual turnover is more than 50 crores, we must look into where the poem is situated. Poem is nothing but place of effective management. Here, the place of effective management is situated in India for a non-Indian company for which annual turnover is more than 50 crores, then that non-Indian company is called as resident company. Next one is non-resident company. A non-Indian company for which annual turnover is less than 50 crores, automatically that company will come under non-resident company. Similarly, for a non-Indian company where the turnover is more than 50 crores and the poem is situated outside India, even in that case, that company will come under non-resident company. At last, we are going to see how to determine the residential status of every other person. Every other person you mean other than individuals, Hindu undivided family and joint stock companies, which may include association of persons, body of individuals, local authority, artificial juridical person and partnership firms. So these entities or persons can claim only two positions. One is resident and the other one is non-resident. For being a resident, the control and management of its affairs should have been situated either partly or wholly in India. For being non-resident, the control and management of its affairs should have been situated wholly outside India.
Thanks for watching. I hope I was able to give you some insights. Happy learning.